Hello guys, so today I'm going to talk about this phone. But wait, have you subscribed to my channel yet? If you haven't done, please do so because I'll be bringing more content to you guys about tech. So today I'm going to talk about this phone, the Xiaomi Redmi Note 13, and it comes in four colors. You have the midnight black, and then you have the mint green, and then you have the ice blue and ocean sunset. So I'm going to talk about first of all, I'm going to talk about the design of this phone. The design it looks quite premium, but of course it's a low budget phone. It's a budget phone in 2024. Now I think it's something that you can grab a bargain. So this goes for less than 200 pounds. I got this on Amazon for 169 pounds because I'm with the Amazon Prime and sometimes I get discount, but right now on Amazon it's for 199 pounds. So the design of this phone is cool. You have one, two, three cameras and a flash here. So the primary camera has 108 megapixel. Secondary camera here has 16 megapixel. Talking about the design, Xiaomi has included USB-C here. You have your speakers here, and then you have your SIM card tray here. The SIM card slot here, it's double SIM card slot, and then there's one up, and then there's another down. So you can fix your SIM card up, down, two SIM card, and then slot in the inside. Xiaomi has kind of taken us back in those olden days. So you have your headphone jack here, and then you have your sensor here and stuff like that. You have one below here and you have one above here. So far about the design of this phone, it quite looks premium, and then you have volume up here, volume up down here, and you have your power button here. So I was a bit confused about the volume up and volume down here, but of course I'm using a lot of phones. Like I'm using a lot of phones, so sometimes you just need to learn it. I was hoping that this volume up, volume down button would be on the left side, but I mean that's cool. So you have the physical keys. You have just two physical keys here, and that's just it. So processor of this phone is Snapdragon 68 Gen. So it's an old chipset, of course, but it runs on this phone. And I mean, if you're not doing heavy tasks on this phone, it's quite good going with it.
Hello
Xiaomi has
guys.
kind of
So now
tried
to
to
talk about the
optimize the
nickname coming from the
Snapdragon 6 Gen
Samsung
on this
Galaxy
thing. So for
S24
something
event.
that is as
I want to
low
talk about the
as less than
software. I
200
want to talk
pounds,
about
I
the
think it's
safety
something that you
design.
can grab a
I want to
bargain and
talk
go.
about the live
And I mean, for
translate.
everyday use
Personally,
of
I
this
love
phone, I think
Samsung
it's
more.
something that
Sometimes I
you
get
can
pissed
use it.
because
I mean, you can
paying
go out
over a
with it,
thousand pounds for the
use the
phone in recent
internet,
years,
YouTube,
and then
watch
they
videos,
just get
do your
just
Instagram,
ugly,
social
ugly.
media,
And I mean,
Facebook, and Twitter and
Samsung
stuff
kind of
like that. I got
listen.
this, the ice
So in
blue, which is very
2024,
nice. So
the
I
S24
mean,
series came
for
with
everyday
7
use, I
years
mean,
of
for everyday
software update.
basic
And I
use,
mean,
is something that you can go with. I mean, holding it from far, I mean, moving around, someone may mistake it for, the flagship phone. I mean, for everyday use, is something that you can go with. But I mean, the Snapdragon 6 Gen on this thing is quite a bit slow. Talking about the storage, you have 6 gig of RAM plus 128, and then you have 8 gig of RAM plus 128, and then you have 8 gig of RAM plus 256, and then you have 8 gig of RAM plus 256. So I'm on the list of this thing here. This is the 6 gig plus 128 gig, and I mean it's smoothly, and I mean it runs smoothly, like playing games and stuff like that, going navigating through the internet and stuff like that. So there are a whole lot of things that you can enjoy in it. And then it's quite expandable. They have given the room there that you can expand it up to 1 terabyte. So that's just it. If you want to get something like this and then expand, it's still cool. You can go with that. So the height of this phone is 162.24 millimeters, and then you have 75.55 millimeters as the width, and then the thickness. You have the thickness here is 7.97 millimeters. So the thickness here is 7.97 millimeters, and then you have the weight is 1.88.5 grams. So it's something that is quite sleek, and I love it. It's quite sleek. So if you like phones like this that huge screen, 6.67 inches with so sleek like this, I mean, this reminds me of the olden days Motorola and Motorola Razor stuff like that. So it's quite smooth. I mean, the feel in the hand is quite smooth. For some people, they don't like bigger phone sizes of phone, but I think it's something that you can go with. So it's just it. So that's just it. So the antenna, there's nothing here. Everything is embedded inside, so you don't have anything like the antennas out here above any other thing. So it looks like more of the, olden days
Display.
stuff. So the display, you have 6.67 AMOLED display, which is cool on something like this. I mean, when you're playing games, when you're watching videos, Netflix, YouTube, and stuff like that, it's something like you can actually enjoy it on this phone. So I've used it a couple of times to watch videos on YouTube, Netflix, and stuff like that, and I enjoyed it. For something of this price, I think it's something that you can go with if you're on a low budget. In the camera, you have 108 megapixel, and then you have 2 megapixel, and then you have 8 megapixel. So it's a triple camera, and here you have your flash. So that's just it for the camera. But talking about the camera, most times you have to take it out to the field and try it for yourself before you are able to, give the final take about camera. Personally, I don't grade the megapixel of cameras until I take them out there to, test it for myself. They tell you that, 108 megapixel, 200 pixel, but what you get in return in the outside world is quite different from most things you get on the phone here. So we'll get back to the camera thing later because it's one of the things I want to talk about this phone. The battery is 5000 mega amps, and I mean that's cool. And then you have 53 watts fast charging on this thing as well. And I mean, most times when we talk about the mega amps on a battery, you don't really need to talk about it on the paper. You have to, go out there, try it for yourself, charge it, use it. And I mean, I've tried that now. The 33 watts fast charging on this one, I've tried it, and I mean, it's cool. You can charge from 0 to 100 in less than 40 minutes and stuff like that. So it's cool, and then it lasts. But in recent years, depends on how you're using our phones. With the saturation of social media, you can't really tell, but I mean, it still goes. The playback time is cool. I've watched videos on it, I've used a lot of things, but there's one thing, there are a whole lot of customization on this thing, like the wallpapers, the live wallpapers, which can drain your battery. So if you're using it, you just have to be careful about using whole features about the wallpapers on this thing. For instance, stuff like this, you know, the UI and stuff like that. No, that's just it. So you have fingerprint sensor here, which is very fast. I love it. It's quite fast. I love it. And you have your AI Face ID. That's what Xiaomi said, the AI Face ID as well. But the Face ID is something that I've tried it. In good light, it works well, but when you come to darkness, no, it's a bit terrible. So I won't advise you to, go with the Face ID often. You can go with the fingerprint, which is very cool. So it's just here, stuff like that. I know when I was thinking because it's a budget phone, it comes like something here, but fortunately, it came here, which looks more like a flagship thing. So that's just it. So you have your fingerprint, you have your face ID, and then you have your PIN, password, and stuff like that. So that's just it for the security. The speaker run on Dolby Atmos. I've tried it, but I didn't really get it. When you play music, it's quite horrible. But if you listen to stuff like audiobooks, I don't know, there's magic there that I sound so cool. So that's just it for the speaker. So you have your IP54 rating here, which is water splash. And I mean, when they talk about IP68, stuff like that, 54, I don't really advise people when it comes to water, on smartphones. I believe you just go with it. And then, by mistake or by accident, happen to fall in water or splashes, stuff like that. So this is IP54, and which means it's water splash. You cannot take it in the rain, too much water on this going to damage your phone. So that's just it. And I mean, for a budget phone like this, is quite cool. I mean, something that you can go with. So the IP54, water splash, and dust resistance. So the operating system is MIUI 14. The MIUI 14 is kind of discontinued now, but I think on this latest thing here is what's running on this thing currently right now. But I think they have discontinued or they have stopped it. So that's just it. So talking about the camera, I took this phone out and then I was trying to have a glimpse because in recent years, the first thing that appealed to most people now getting the phone is, the camera. So the camera, I think it's quite terrible for now, but I think if something that Xiaomi could look into it and then send one or two updates about the camera is something that it can improve over time. I remember using my Nothing Phone 1 for the first time and I took a couple of pictures. They were very terrible, but along the line they kept improving it through, updates, and something happened and it became very nice. Right now they have very nice camera. So that's just it for the camera. I'm not really cool. I don't find the camera, so appealing for now, but I'm just hoping that, with loads of update they're gonna improve. So on this phone, I can advise you to get it if you're on a low budget, and then the Samsung thing, they're quite expensive and pricey. And if you can go out there, if you have some bills and stuff like that, anything less than £200 for something like this, AMOLED display, is very nice. And if you are a fan of big screen, this is 6.67 inches AMOLED display. I mean Playing games on this thing is sweet. I've tried it. Or if you're a fan of big screen like this type of screen. So most times, when I get home and I feel bored, customization and Android is something that I've loved over time. So I just go with this thing. So you have the refresh rate on this thing. You have two refresh rate. You can switch from 120 hertz to 60 hertz. And for those people in recent years, most people don't really recognize about the refresh rate thing. But I think it's something that we should talk about it. For phones like this coming with something like that, I think it's something like it's kudos to them. With Xiaomi, it's kudos. And you have the option of choosing between 120 hertz and 60 hertz. So when I'm playing games, I feel like going for the 120 hertz, which of course it drains battery faster, but it's nice and you kind of really enjoy the feel of playing games on this thing. So I've gone with games on this thing and I've tried to choose between 60 hertz and then 120 hertz. There is no much difference, but there is a difference. So on this thing, you have the option of choosing between 120 hertz and 60 hertz. So that's just it about this phone. So my final take on this thing, the hardware, very nice, premium design, stuff like that. I love it, but it's not actually a premium phone. This is not glass, this is plastic. And overall, I love it. I love the design and everything. And most of all, the headphone jack here. Sometimes personally, I love to have something like have a feel of those years when we're using our MP3, our MP4 and stuff like that. So I love the headphone jack on this thing, and it's fine. But one thing that turns me off about this phone is the camera. If Xiaomi could send one or two updates about the camera of this phone, that would be great. And that would be super cool for something like this. So far, so good for me. In conclusion, it's just the camera. If they send something like one or two updates about the camera and they just make it, update it to, So the camera is quite poor for now, but I just hope that one or two updates can change that. So overall, it's a phone to go with, but the price, if you have something for less than 160, it's fine. And I got this for £169, but right now it's £199. But it's something that you can go with. So what do you think about this phone? The design, the software, the hardware of this phone. What do you think about it? Is it something that you can get maybe as a daily driver, or is it something that you are just beginning to use a phone? I'll advise you, if you're out there, you want to give somebody a gift for this thing who's using a phone almost for the first time, you can go with something like this. And it's very cool. You have some of the features of a flagship on this thing, you know, stuff like that. So there are a whole lot of customization, wallpapers, the live wallpapers, and stuff like that. So it's just sweet. What do you think about the Xiaomi Redmi Note 10 in 2024? It is something like you love to buy or you advise somebody to buy it. Take your take down there. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Bye. Bye. Bye bye.